Alright, so I'm driving from Seattle down to Portland. Thought I'd do a little video cast here of my eventful days up at the Seeds of Compassion event, because we were on with other representatives of their own faiths. So there were Sikhs and Jews and Muslims and Baha'i and Christians of a variety of types. They were all engaging in this interfaith dialogue. And I know for all of those traditions, there are streams within them that would not want them involved in this interfaith dialogue, that there's the kind of separatistic, exclusionistic expressions of all religions. But for us to be together, and I mean, I felt very comfortable talking about the Jesus story in my responses, and other people talked out of their own traditions. And it wasn't this kind of one religion, one world order thing. It was much more saying, how do we become friends? How do we learn from each other? How do we join together in creating meaningful compassion? And what I was absolutely struck by was how loving and compassionate and committed and smart and kind people were from the other faiths. And just what a beautiful reminder it is that this version of the Christian story that has been propagated for far too long, in my opinion, that only Christian people know how to love, only Christians have a value of compassion, only Christians know how to serve each other, is just simply not true. And the reminder of that, it so much reminded me of what I understand the story being when deism was coming into vogue in the 1700s, 1800s in the United States, even late 1600s, because there was this reformed view that it took Christianity to civilize people. And so folks living in Europe believed that non-Christian people then obviously were separate from God and influenced by fallenness and all of this business, and therefore could not be a civilized right person. And then Marco Polo discovering the very complex and beautiful advanced civilizations in China, and then people hearing that story and basically then having to conclude that deism, that there is a God but not the particular brands of this Reformed theology or of this Augustinian theology of fallenness, would have to rule the day. And so many of the founders of the United States were deists and not of a particular expression of Christianity. And what a conflict that was for people, and what a nightmare it produced for them. And that's what it felt like in these meetings, was there's just no way to argue that Christians are the only ones who have compassion and goodness. That is a human quality, and that Jesus following wants to call us into the fullness of that humanity, and not into a belief system that then releases that for the first time in someone. That empathy, compassion, and goodness are what is a part of us as human beings created in the image of God, and that these expressions of different expressions of religion have their own nuances, have their own stories, and I am one who follows the Jesus story. And if I want others to follow the Jesus story, it can't be because I'm arguing that we have the sole, we're the sole proprietors of all things compassionate, loving, and good. It's just simply does not fit with reality. And so such a good confirmation to publicly be able to put an end to that kind of expression of religious dogmatism. But at the same time, it raises some big questions about what it means to be a Jesus follower in the midst of all of these other faiths and all these other religions. And certainly something that I'm committing in my life to be a part of, and am committed to the Jesus way. But joining with the millions and millions of others through time and around the world who are trying to answer those questions in proactive and in helpful ways that are wide-eyed and open to all the realities of our world, and we don't have to create our own little enclaves in order for our theology to make sense any longer. So it was a really humbling time to be part of this event, a really, really confirming time, and such a good thing, because, you know, we've been saying around Solomon's Porch and around the people that I've been kicking it with in these last 10 or 15 years, that what we want to do is be Jesus followers who join in the kingdom of God wherever we find it. And that's so then last night we had a little get-together where Rob spoke for a bit, and then Todd Hunter and I did an interview with Rob, and Jim Henderson. Had a great time last night. Now I'm driving down to Portland. I'm going to spend some time with the folks from Evergreen Community, and then tonight do a book reading of A Christianity Worth Believing. And so, terrific set of days. So from Highway 5, heading south, 55.7 miles outside of Portland, over and outie.